Good evening. September is coming to a close. I'll get to college football in a minute. I think it's worth taking a little bit of time here at the beginning to everybody gets mad, but when you're 2,000 miles away and you have a job to do yourself, I don't know if getting there. I'm going to make this about me real quick. Like, I want to help. I think people want to help, but we don't know if roads are impassable, if bridges are out, if the water is still 20 some feet high. I mean, it's not going to do anybody any good for a bunch of people that want to help and are coming to assist in any way they can with the logistics of things, with literally just picking people off of the dirt, off of the floor, off of the earth. That from all the videos and people that have gotten cell phone coverage, thank God for Starlink. Thank God for Elon. He saved freedom of speech. He is now, I saw they set up 2 Starlink stations, one at a hotel address and another place where people could come and get connected to the internet or get cell service or whatever, so they could at least let their loved ones know that they're still breathing. A lot of people won't be making that call. They're talking about thousands of people. I'm talking several thousands, if not more, tens of thousands possibly. People that got killed tragically, unimaginably. It sounds like North Carolina, especially Asheville and Boone and the entire surrounding 4 hours around there. And it's not just them, but North Carolina got hit hard. I'm seeing a lot of videos out of there. Florida, of course, got hit. Tennessee, Virginia, South Carolina, parts of Georgia, obviously. And I'm sure up north from there, they just got hammered. I saw a graphic, and I don't know if places got 42 inches of rain over the course of like 48 hours, or if that's how high the waters were. It makes more sense that that's how high the waters were. I got Reggie down here, my co-host. It makes more sense that the waters were that high, from the rainfall and the hurricane. But I don't know. Either way, it's catastrophic. That's not hyperbole, or there's no better word to describe it, and there's no sense in trying to find like the best words to describe it, because it's devastating. People have lost their lives. People have lost absolutely everything. Towns, communities are gone. Look around you, and now imagine that gone. Thoughts and prayers. I would discourage donating your personal money to either FEMA or the Red Cross. I don't think the funds get allocated quickly or efficiently or even ethically, based on some stories that I've heard. Um, there, the Cajun Army or the Cajun Navy, excuse me, the Cajun Navy. Um, they're a pretty good organization, but then you get looking into their about me, and they've got donating to Ukraine and all this BS. And I don't want, I want to help out in the best way or the only way 2,000 miles away I can do so is by donating money to people that can get supplies or whatever. If those funds can help people, that's where I want my money to go. And somehow that's got to logistically work out from 2,000 miles away. It's me putting a lot of trust in a certain organization or people, um, to put those funds to where I'm trying to get them to the people that have lost everything, that don't even have a pot to piss in, and have 3 kids and they have no food, no water, and they haven't for 2 days, going on 3 days. It's bad. Um, the mainstream media is not covering it nearly as much as they should be. I mean, Katrina was absolutely horrific. Um, and this is right up, it doesn't matter if it's worse or bigger, or they're all bad. They all took lives. This is a really bad one, a mass casualty event. Um, mass. I mean, it wiped out. Houses are gone. Entire blocks of houses, entire cities, communities, towns are gone. Their shopping centers, their grocery stores. They don't even have a place to go to work tomorrow on Monday to take their mind off it. There's a plot of land where their house and their belongings and everything they knew and was their comfort and their place where they rested their head. The basics of living that they teach you in kindergarten. You need to have food, you need to have shelter, and you need to have clothing. They have one of those three things right now, and that's speaking for 4 million plus people. And that's if all of them are alive. And we know there's people reporting that, um, there's deceased bodies floating through the waters, just like houses and animals. And they are saying it's one of the most horrific things you can imagine. I'm getting all this information off of Twitter, just people posting and reposting, and there's people just, I did my part and reposted a couple of things, a couple of resources where people could, um, if they could navigate their way, they could get to internet or to water or to drinkable water or whatever. I don't know if it did any good. If one person saw it and forwarded on to somebody who forwarded on to somebody, they could get some use out of it. Excellent. Just really, 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 really bad situation down there. Right now, they're going on day 3 with no electricity, no food, no water, um, no house, no shelter, nowhere they can go, nowhere they can navigate or migrate to. Everything is gone. It has turned barbaric. I don't think people, if people don't tune into Twitter or aren't into that, that's fine. But they seem to be as accurate as can be with the news in terms of real live reporting, because people are there and reporting on the scene where it doesn't have time to go through the filter that I believe is out there. But yeah, it's I don't know if our current president or vice president, have either of them have made a statement about it. I'm guessing Kamala has by now. I haven't seen it. I have no idea what our president is doing. If he hasn't made a comment by now, um, I'll reserve my words on that because he might have said something by now. I hope so. Um, it's pretty crazy that, in times of natural disasters within our United States of America, our country, that we're privileged to live here, be born here, be a part of. Um, it's crazy that back in Miami, or excuse me, Maui, Oprah and The Rock got on there and begged people for donations. Um, Oprah's worth several billions of dollars, and The Rock is worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and they're on there begging for money from the everyday person to go towards rescue efforts for the people affected by the Maui fires. Um, I don't know how many billions of dollars we have written a check for to Ukraine and Israel and Iran, Russia, all those hackers we had to pay a ransom for. People forget about that. We're paying both sides of everything that's going on in the world. Always have been, always will be. But we have no problem sending hundreds of billions of dollars to these nations. And when something happens to our people within our borders or within our country, um, it gets pretty quiet. I think that's pretty telling. We already have people begging for help, relief, money, anything, in Asheville and all these states that got affected, all the people that are going through it right now. They can't get any money. It hasn't been declared a disaster yet. I've been gone for 4 or 5 hours, so actually longer than that. So I haven't looked. Maybe, hopefully, by now it's been declared a disaster, and they can get efforts in there. Honestly, I think the people helping each other out organically is much more fruitful and efficient at this point than FEMA stepping in there and trying to organize things. It's too late. They need help now. If you ever, if The Lone Survivor, if you've ever read that book or seen the movie or listened to the story of Marcus Luttrell and his SEAL team, that he talks about how thirst and not having drinkable water will make a person crazy, and eventually they'll pass away because they'll pass away of both like a psychotic episode and of dehydration. So that's wild. So these people down there don't have any drinkable water, and they're going on 3 days. So that's one of the most important things, is to get them water and food, and then to get them shelter. We bust all these foreign individuals that came into our country around the country, to sanctuary cities around the country. We need to be getting buses and transportation as close as we can, where people can get their way to these buses and get them out of there. If they want to go, get them to somewhere where they can have a shower, have a meal. People are willing to open their doors, especially in a time of need. Yeah, it's a bad situation down there. So I would recommend. I listen to, or I follow Ryan Hall, y'all, and I think it's like his brother Adam Hall, or can't remember his brother's name, but the Halls. If you look up Ryan Hall, y'all, you can donate to them. They come in after natural disasters. They track weather and storms and all that, and broadcast and post warnings. Um, they're good at what they do. Um, but they, after disasters, they go in and help with the relief efforts, and you can donate to them. So I recommend that one. Um, Again, the Cajun Navy just pissed me off. That Ukraine, I don't want my funds commingled there. I want to know it's going to the source that I want it to. There was another one, and they were all about like, um, they just had some things in there about me that I felt there was too much gray area whether my funds would go towards, helping people that just got demolished by Hurricane Helene, or it's going towards something I don't necessarily agree with personally. But there's more hurricanes or tropical storms brewing right now. There's like 3 or 4 out there in the Atlantic. So it's just going to get from bad to worse. Anyway, if you can, donate money, donate clothes, donate food. This really needs to be a community effort to help these people out, in the immediate time right now, but also, in the months going forward. They don't have anything. So if I can open my doors, to house a family or people that need a roof over their house and, a stove and, can use a little bit of, anyway, I recommend getting on Twitter. That's where the news is, and that's where things are happening. You can keep up. You don't have the filtered information that comes to you when you turn on the TV or whatever you're watching, your phone. Yeah. So college football week 5, Iowa Hawkeyes did not play. They had the week off, bye week for them. They go to Ohio State next weekend, playing in the Horseshoe. I think it's an afternoon game, 2:30. I saw Ohio State's like a 23-point favorite, which is wild, but it will probably be like a 38-10 game or something like that. And who knows, maybe Iowa will come up and put, throw some body shots here and there and to keep them in it for the duration of the first half. I don't know. I love Iowa Hawkeye football, don't get me wrong, but I think this is a tough matchup for them. With all that being said, realistically, I think Ohio State beats them 38-10. But my pick is the Hawkeyes shock the world, and they win 29-24. Shock the world. But they're going to obviously focus on Caleb Johnson a lot, so that means that McNamara has to be efficient and crafty and quick with his decision making, really quick. And I think those are areas that he struggles with right now. So I just think it's going to be a long game for him offensively. But we'll see. It's always exciting when your team's playing a good Ohio State team out in Columbus. Meeting up with my buddy Wardlow to watch that. Wardlow and I used to go up to a local pub and watch the Iowa Hawkeye football games. We haven't done that in a couple of years, probably just a year. But be good to see him, and we'll see what the Hawkeyes do, man. Florida State. It's one of the worst Florida State teams effort-wise. I still don't think talent-wise they're not as bad as they're showing, but it all starts at the quarterback position and trickles down from there. but this is a really piss poor football team at the moment. They could turn things around and win 4 or 5 games, maybe, but it's not looking good. Every team that they play will probably be favored against them. I looked at their full schedule today. Um, it's a game of inches, of course. There's 3 or 4 plays here or there where you're like, oh, if it goes the other way, Florida State maybe gets back into that one and maybe hangs around long enough where they can eke it out. But still, they got mollywopped by SMU. Going for it on 4th and 3 when you're down, wasn't it 21-7 at that point? It's 21-7. 4th down and 3. They just made boneheaded on the 3rd down call. They ran a QB, like it's a design QB run. There really is no option to it. It's just kind of a delayed and then he off tackle type of thing, and he got 0 yards. He lost the yard, I think. And so we call a timeout. It's 21-7. If we get a touchdown, 21-14, but we're on the 3-yard line. Our offense has not been groundbreaking at this point. Reggie wants to say hi. Just a second. Come here, baby. Hi, baby. Oh, look at hi. So we call it timeout, and there's not a lot of time left on the clock before halftime. I'm yelling at the TV, kick the field goal, just take the points. You get the ball at a halftime, and it would be 21-10 for the half that they played. It wouldn't be all that bad. I mean, they looked really shitty in the first half, but 21-10 I would be happy with. They're getting the ball out of in the second half. But no, we call a timeout, and Norvell calls the exact same play. The exact same play they just ran on 3rd down that got them negative yardage and just looked like the most discombobulated D1 college football play you've ever seen. And he calls it again. He's like, yeah, like what I saw there. Let's run that back. And the same exact result happened. Turned the ball over. No points, obviously. That was 4th down. And from there, just got bad to worse. Florida State comes out at halftime. They've got Morlock wide open. He's probably going to get 15, 20 yards. Hits him in the hands, in the helmet, goes up in the air. SMU picks it off, and they go down and score. They score a field goal, I believe. So it's 24-7. Morlock, who has dropped so many passes this year, he's not a real good blocker. The fan base has been asking him to be replaced for a long time, especially when we got some, quote unquote stud freshman tight ends. We finally put them in the game. That one dude, number 18, went up and snagged it and got a touchdown catch. He has 1 catch in his career, 1 touchdown. They also threw to number 42. I think that's his name, number 40, or that was his number 40, the other freshman. It's cool to see them to get some burn, but Morlock just completely changed and that might have been later in the game. I feel like Florida State had 13 points at that time and was, if they get that play, they're at like the 40, 45, 50-yard line. Maybe they can go in and make it 20. It would be 21-24 or 19-24 because he would have went for 2 there. Just abysmal. Everything about it was abysmal. DJU cannot keep playing. it all starts there, right? The energy, how do you think the defense is reacting when they're on the sideline and DJU goes through his BS out there, half motion, half speed, just half decision making, like the speed it takes him to make a decision. Um, it starts there, and he's not it. I've been saying this week after week. He's not it. We got to try something else. Um, I don't. I like Tolofili, but I don't know why the other guys aren't getting more reps. I would move Cam Davis down, man. I move him to like a linebacker or something. Um, and I would give what's his name? Number 20. What is his number? 23, 20, 29 maybe. Whatever his name and number is. I like him a lot. He seems to run hard. He was there last year. But he's not getting any carries. He's back there on like kick return or punt return or something. But Kirkland played all right. Lundy played okay. Peyton played okay. Number 90 did all right. I mean, these guys had like a couple plays that were decent. Shaheem Brown did okay. But again, they just gave up. They gave up what, 42 points, 35, 42 points on third and long or fourth downs, third and forever. They would give up the first down. They would give up huge plays. It just, Fuller needs to go. They need to clean house from top to bottom. That's where I'm at. I know they lost a lot of talent and leadership, but you also had a lot of guys coming back, and they're not. I don't know if the leadership's not there, and maybe it is. I'm not in that locker room. I'm not in that inner circle, but something there is lacking, and I don't know what it is. Maybe we just need that dude to eat some dog shit in a red Solo cup to reverse the jinx. I don't know, but this isn't Florida State football, and I don't mean to sound arrogant in saying that, but they get decent recruits and they have a good coaching staff, or used to. A pretty good legacy. They have national titles, but this is just abysmal, man. It's frustrating to watch. Mastromano is a bright spot. He's booting the hell out of the ball. Trying to think who else had a decent game. Portier, who's on the thumbnail. He showed up for his one play every 2.5 games where he scored a touchdown. That was a hard thrown ball, and he used his hands and went up there and got it. Or Portier. I call him Portier, but I think it's pronounced Portier. Hakeem made a nice catch, a really tough ball on a third down where DJU just fired it as hard as he could, and it looked like Hakeem caught it a little bit. He caught it, but it looked like a little bit up against his belly. And that thing was a missile. I wouldn't be surprised if that knocked the wind out of him. Jaheim Douglas, he had a couple of big catches again. That dude is money most of the time. Who else? Tolofili was trying his best, and he runs hard. He makes me nervous. He seems like he fumbles the ball a lot to me, and I could, maybe the statistics say otherwise, but yeah, that was tough to watch. I had to turn it off in like the third quarter, and I started watching another game because I couldn't take it anymore. But let me bring up the other scores. I should know them. I watched a bit of the Colorado game, UCF. They took care of business there. They look pretty decent, I watched Minnesota and Michigan. I watched some of that one. Michigan was mopping them, and then Minnesota came back. They were definitely not offsides on that onside kick. That should have been Minnesota ball. They got job there for sure. But yeah, Michigan wins at home 27-24. Minnesota's 2-3, and Michigan's 4-1. Nebraska went to Purdue and beat them 28-10. It was 0-0 at halftime, and everybody was just punting. It looked like a miserable game. Navy's 4-0 after beating UAB 41-18. North Carolina State comes back in the fourth quarter and beats Northern Illinois 24-17. Northern Illinois was winning most of that game. I watched a good chunk of that game as well. K-State puts a pounding on Oklahoma State at home. K-State won that one 42-20. I watched a good majority of that one. Tulsa beats UCF 45-10. Kentucky goes into Ole Miss and upsets them 20-17. Boston College, by the hair of their chinny chin chin, beats Western Kentucky 21-20 at home. Western Kentucky dominated that game. Should have won that game, but Boston College did just enough to come back in the fourth late and win that one, 21-20. Let's see here. Texas A&M, they also came back and barely escaped beating Arkansas 21-17 at Jerry World. What's her name? Not what's her name. Let me see who else is playing. UNLV stomped Fresno State 59-14. If you remember, UNLV's quarterback just quit the team. They were 3-0 last week. He was just decent. He wasn't anything special, but he was the leader and the quarterback, starting quarterback, and he just dipped out of UNLV because he was promised $100,000 and he'd only been paid $3,000 is what the streets are saying. Who knows which side is telling the truth? Who cares at this point? It seems that the quarterback who played yesterday, who was number 2 behind the guy who left, is better than him. So that bodes well for UNLV. Their starting running back also left at UNLV, but that doesn't seem like it mattered. Notre Dame beats Louisville at home, 31-24. That was the first loss for Louisville. TCU beats Kansas 38-27, moving Kansas to 1-4. That game was at Arrowhead Stadium. Louisiana beats Wake Forest on the road 41-38. USC comes back. They scored 28 points in the second half. They outscored Wisconsin 28-0 in the second half, and they beat USC. USC beat Wisconsin 38-21 out in Los Angeles. Oklahoma barely survives beating Auburn 27-21. That's a big win for them. Even though Auburn's, average for Auburn standards, Oklahoma went to Auburn and comes out of there the victor 27-21. Duke somehow comes back and beats North Carolina 21-20. I'm pretty sure it was 14-0 at one point, and North Carolina, was going in to score, and they got a penalty, ended up kicking a field goal. So I believe it was 20-0 for a long time, and then Duke kept climbing back and ended up winning that one at home, 21-20. Texas beat Mississippi State 35-13. Iowa State goes down to Houston and beats them 20-0. Troy lost at home to Louisiana Monroe 13-9. Clemson beats the brakes off of Stanford at home 40-14. Penn State beat Illinois 21-7. I realized that Penn State won the game, but Illinois has a really, really good defensive coordinator. I'm not sure his name. I think it's a cool story. They told a little bit about it last week's game, Illinois, that I was watching. He was like a grad assistant and helped cut the grass to earn some extra money because he wasn't getting paid anything, and just kept working. That was down in Arkansas with Bielema, I believe. Kid I played high school sports with, coach was on Bielema's staff down there in Arkansas. He's now an offensive coordinator at like a D2 school or something, which is pretty cool. But he probably knows this defensive coordinator. I got to find out his name, but he's excellent. He held Penn State to 21 points at, in Happy Valley. One of those, one or two of those was off of special teams or like a interception return down to like the 12-yard line or whatever. So really his defense only gave up a touchdown. I believe he's the real deal. Look into him. He's an excellent defensive coordinator. Memphis beats MTSU, Middle Tennessee State, 24-7. Ohio State goes into East Lansing and beats Michigan State 38-7. Bama beats Georgia at home in an absolutely bonkers game, 41-34. Bama was up 28-0 in the first quarter, and then Georgia came back little by little. Ended up going up by 1 point on a crazy play, a long bomb. They were up 34-33 on the very next play after the kickoff when Alabama has the ball. If you're watching this show, you probably saw it, but Ryan Williams on a deep ball on the sideline, they just told him to go. He makes an acrobatic catch, makes a very agile move, makes a couple other moves, and then next thing you know, he's sprinting down the sideline. It's a touchdown. Alabama just took the lead back 41-34 in the matter of like 17 seconds or something. They held on to win that one by 7. LSU beats University of San Antonio, I think. They're just USA, 42-10. Texas Tech beats Cincinnati. That game was at home for Texas Tech, 41-44. Florida State goes into Southern Methodist and loses 42-16. Arizona goes into Utah and beats them 23-10. That was a huge win for them. Utah's first loss, they were ranked number 10. They're now 4-1. Oregon goes into the Rose Bowl and beats UCLA 34-13. Miami won on a crazy last play, 38-34 against Virginia Tech on Thursday, I believe that was. Rutgers beats Washington. That game was at home game was in East Piscataway. Rutgers won that one 21-18. Rutgers is now 4-0 and Washington is 3-2. And then Army is also 4-0. They beat Temple on the road 42-14. So I don't know who Florida State plays next week. I'm going to watch it, but just really sour about them right now because it's not pretty. And I don't know what they have to do. They have to change the quarterback. You can't be like, oh yeah, I love the way things are going, and be 1-4 and averaging, I think it's like 13 points a game, 12, 13, 14, 16 or something. Yeah. So I don't know what other big games there are next week, but I'll be doing this again. Football it's something. College football is something I'm into. I've been into it my entire life. I do get too worked up about it. I do, spend too much time thinking about it, watching it, consuming it. But that's what I like to do. I don't feel like I'm over the top. Everything in moderation, right? Besides Major League Baseball, it's one of the only sports I really follow these days. But I like college football a lot. With that being said, right now in our country, there's much bigger things than college football going on. There's estimates of 4 million plus people without power, electricity. That includes stoves, microwaves. They have no food. They have no water. They have no shelter. There's nothing. They lost everything. So if you can, even if it's a couple bucks, Ryan Hall, y'all, that's who I would look into for donating money, and they can get resources logistically figured out to get it to people down there to help them and hopefully keep them alive until they can somehow get back on their feet. It's not pretty on that southeastern part of the United States. That includes the Carolinas, Virginia, Tennessee, Kentucky. It's bad over there. So do what you can if that's anything, and if it's nothing, pray for these people because they need a miracle. They need something to stop their tears from flowing. They need a glass of drinkable water for them and theirs, and a roof that will keep them warm and safe from the elements. Yeah. If anybody has gotten out of that area and needs a place to stay and rest to get some things figured out, send me a message, and we'll see if we can't work something out. Anyway, have a good week, and we'll check in with you later.